Okay guys, so here we are with part 2 of the Nature Strong collection. This is my comparison part of the collection, so I'm just going to go through the comparisons real quick. If you guys want to see an actual review with the live swatches, go ahead and check out my previous video on this collection. If you already saw the collection, you guys know you need all of these polishes. I just wanted to bring out my comparisons and I wanted to separate it up because you guys know how I am with my comparisons. If you watch closely, you will see I did include a few polishes that I have not yet reviewed. They're polishes from some of the new fall collections, so keep your eye out for those here. And then if you guys haven't purchased any of these yet, make sure you check out Beyond Polish. You guys know I have an affiliate code with them. It's BIV10, so BIV10. It's for 10% off. If you guys do use my code, thank you so much from the absolute bottom of my heart. All right, grab your popcorn, grab your coffee, grab your wine, whatever you want. Let's get to the comparisons. Okay, first up, starting with the white. This is Strong as Shell. It's not a full-on stark white. It's not an off-white either. It's just kind of an in-between type of white color. You can see it compared to Essie Blanc here, Coastal Sanctuary by OPI, and Essie Make a Racket. And then next up we have OPI Funny Bunny, one of my absolute fave whites by OPI, China Glaze Summer Moon, and OPI Raindrop Expectations from this line. I could not find my Alpine Snow, so I do not have a comparison to that, but I'm sure some of the other ladies that have done swatches on this will have a comparison to Alpine Snow. And then moving right along, I wanted to compare Essie Happy As Can Be to Strong as Shell, and you can see that Strong as Shell is not quite as off-white as Happy As Can Be. It's more of a white, but not quite a stark white, if you get what I'm saying. Okay, next up we have Clay in the Life. Clay in the Life is an absolutely stunning pastel peachy polish, so I compared this to Essie Excuse Me Sir, Essie Vandigo, and Morgan Taylor It's My Moment, and you can see no dupes here. And then here we have Essie Beachy Keen, Essie In Full Swing, and Essie Gel Couture Curate. That's always such a tongue twister. Essie Gel Couture Curator. And you can see no dupes here. The other polishes either are a little bit more orange or a little bit more peach. And next up we have Essie Come Out to Clay. It's pretty similar, but it's a little bit darker. And then you can see Essie You're a Catch and China Glaze Vacay Dreams. And once again, no dupes here. And then moving right along, I wanted to compare OPI Bubble Bath. You can see it's a little bit more pink. Essie Talk to the Sand, which I thought was actually going to be a dupe for this polish, but not so much. And then China Glaze I'm No Tourist. So you can see you guys definitely need Clay in the Life. It's got a gorgeous formula. It's amazing. That's all. Moving right along, this is Let Nature Take Its Course. I compared this to Ballet Sneakers, Essie Minimalistic, and Essie Fiji, and you can see no dupes here. And then moving right along, we have Essie Young, Wild, and Free, Essie Airspun Fun from the Fairest of Them All collection, and Essie Go Go Geisha. Once again, no dupes here. And then moving right along, here we have We Canyon Do Better is a little bit darker. So I compared this to China Glaze Vacay Dreams, Essie Beachy Keen, and Essie Around the Bend. And you can see there are no dupes here. We Canyon Do Better is just a tad bit darker. And then here I have it compared to The Snuggle Is Real. Forgive my cuticles, you guys. This 30 polish collection swatching stuff is not good on the nails or the cuticles. So, and then next up we have Everything's Rosy and Into the Abyss, and you can see no dupes here. All right, and moving right along to Essie Natural Movement. God, I love this polish. So here I compared this to Hollywood and Vibe. It's somewhat close, but Hollywood and Vibe is a little bit more pink. And then I compared Essie Baguette Me Not, which is pretty close, and Essie You've Got Me Faded, which is kind of close, but not as close as Baguette Me Not. And then here we have OPI Mod About You, and that's obviously more pink. Essie Go Genza is a little bit lighter, and then Essie Spring in Your Step is a different tone of purple. And then next up we have Olive&June Rosy Tips and Olive&June Cockatoo, and you can see those are both a tad bit more pink. Then I pulled out OPI Pink on Canvas. From their fall collection, you can see it's quite a bit darker and more pink. And then Lavender to Find Courage is a tad bit darker. Once again, check out my previous video for live swatches to see how absolutely freaking amazing this polish is. Okay, and then we have This'll Make You Bloom. This is such a pretty color. I compared this to Essie Sleepover Squad, Essie Jamaica Me Crazy, and OPI Strawberry Waves Forever. And then here we have it compared to OPI Pompeii Purple, OPI Mary and Cranberry, and OPI 15 Minutes of Flame, and no dupes here. And moving right along, we have Raindrop Expectations, this gorgeous baby blue I compared to Olive&June Angelfish, Essie Find Me an Oasis, and Essie Gel Couture Perfect Posture. And you can see Angelfish and Find Me an Oasis are pretty close actually. And then here we have Essie Gel Couture Dimensions and OPI Gelato on My Mind, as well as Essie Borrowed and Blue. And you can see the subtle differences in these colors. And then moving right along to the purple, Spring into Action. I compared this one to Don't Toot My Flute by OPI, as well as You're Such a Budapest and Galleria Vittorio Violette. And you can see Don't Toot My Flute is somewhat similar, but it looks a lot more similar in this video than it actually is. And then next up we have OPI Polly Want a Lacquer, Essie Worth the Tassel, and Essie Playdate, and clearly no dupes here. And then moving right along, we have China Glaze Left My Heart in Havana, Olive&June Bold and Unshaken, and OPI OU Sing Act Dance, and I forget what else we do. So you can see no dupes here. And then last but not least, for the purples, we have Essie Spring in Your Step, Essie Gel Couture Style and Excess, which I now realize I probably should have compared to Right as Rain as well, but I did not, unfortunately. And then Essie As If is clearly a different color of, it's almost more blue. Okay, and then next up we have Essie Give It a Swirl from their tie-dye collection, and then Achieve Greatness and Starstruck Accord. Achieve Greatness is to die for. It's so pretty. This is one coat right here, so get that polish. And again, you can check out my live swatches and actual swatches in my previous video. And then moving right along, we have Turn on the Northern Lights, Sound of Vibrance, and Leonardo's Model Color compared to Achieve Greatness. And you can see no dupes here. And then I compared Essie Fall in Line, Essie Glow with the Flow, which doesn't even look similar at all. I don't even know why I compared that one. And then Essie Beautiful Horizon, and you can see no dupes there. And then next up we have Essie Girly Grunge, Essie Dial It Up, and Essie Below Zero, and you can see once again no dupes here. Achieve Greatness is definitely a standout color. Okay, and next up we have OPI Enflowered. I love this pink, you guys. I did find one Essie that's somewhat similar, but definitely not a dupe. I compared this to Orly Kaleidoscope Eyes here, Essie Blossoms and Besties, and Essie Thumb Surfing, and you can see no dupes. And then the closest I could find was Essie Madison Square Hue, but it has shimmer in it. So if you took away the shimmer and put a little bit more white in Madison Square Hue, it would be enflowered, possibly, but possibly. And then you can see how it compares to Essie Splash of Grenadine and Essie Lovey Dovey, as well as moving right along to Zoya Darla, which was actually a little bit closer than I thought it would be, and then OPI Strawberry Margarita. Okay, moving along to the yellows. Here we have OPI Don't Tell a Soul, OPI Exotic Birds Don't Tweet, and OPI Never a Dullest Moment. And you can see these polishes are pretty similar. Don't Tell a Soul is probably the closest, but I don't feel like it's quite a dupe. I do, however, feel like Avant Garment is the closest. So Essie Gel Couture Avant Garment. And then here I have it compared to Essie Hey There as well. And then here you can see Essie Expressy Shook, Essie All Fun and Games from the Fairest of Them All collection, and then Orly Lemonade. And you can see no dupes here. Okay, when I had these polishes on my hand, I was like, these all look exactly the same. There are definitely some dupes to It's Ashley OPI. It's got such a great formula though that I still recommend picking it up. So here we have Essie Expressi in the Modem, Essie Maximilian Strasser, and then Essie Gel Couture Sage You Love Me. And that's a little bit lighter, but the other two are pretty darn close. And then here we have It's Ashley OPI and Donovan New Gray compared to Now and Zen and Without Stitches. And Now and Zen is actually closer than I thought it would be to It's Ashley OPI. It's just a little bit darker. And then here I added Cocktail Bling, which is more blue, and Take It Outside, which is a little bit more taupe. Same with Master Plan, which is a little bit more taupe. And then Serene Slate is a little bit darker and more green. Here we have Petal Pushers, which is more of a blue toned gray. And then Susie Talks with Her Hand, which is a little bit more of a green, darker green toned gray. So no dupes here. Okay, then we have Cactus What You Preach, another color I freaking love. I compared this to Essie Bustling Bazaar, Essie in the Cabana, and Essie Roam Around. And you can see Cactus What You Preach is quite a bit lighter than those polishes. And then next up we have My Dog Sled is a hybrid and China Glaze Can't Stop Branching, as well as OPI Sailing and Nailing. And you can see no dupes here. And then here we have China Glaze at Base Value, Orly Happy Camper, and Essie Expressi Recharge to Take Charge. And you can see there are no dupes here either. And then I really wanted to see how Orly Vintage compared to this polish. So you can see that here. Orly Vintage has a little bit more green in it. And then OPI Gelato on My Mind and OPI Susie Without a Paddle are just a tad bit lighter. Next up is another fave. This is Right as Rain. So I compared this to Essie Sound Check You Out from their new fall collection, Essie Chinchilli, and Essie Ladylike. You can see there are no dupes here. And then next up we have Audio Bad Nails, Chow Great Nails by OPI, OPI Graffiti Sweetie, and Essie Warm and Toasty Turtleneck. And you can see no dupes here either. So I pulled out some Zoya. So I grabbed Zoya Barrett and Zoya Vivian. You can see those are not dupes. And then of course I had to grab Bangle Jangle. And Bangle Jangle is a tad bit lighter. So this polish seems a lot more dupeable than it actually is. Here I compared Just the Way You Arctic by Essie, Essie Chow Effect, and Essie No Place Like Stockholm. Once again, no dupes. Pick this one up, you guys. If you don't, you're going to regret it. I promise you. Okay, and then we have Once in Floral. I compared this one to Feelin' Poppy by Essie, Olive&June Lava, and Essie Sunday Fun Day. It's really hard to capture the differences in these colors and red colors. So they are a little bit more different than they're appearing on video. I feel like Olive&June Lava was probably the closest. And then here we have PCH Love Song, which has quite a bit more shimmer in it. My Chihuahua Doesn't Bite Anymore. And then My Chihuahua Bites. And I would say that My Chihuahua Doesn't Bite Anymore is probably the closest here. And then next up, we have Big Bloom Energy. I love how bright this one is. So I compared this one to Essie Cute as a Button, and it's actually fairly similar. I feel like Big Bloom Energy just has a little bit more pop to it. And then you can see it compared to Olive&June Hot Strawberry and Zoya Desi, and those are not dupes. And next up, I compared Knowledge is Flower and For What It's Earth in the same group because I feel like they're pretty similar. So I compared those to Essie Fun in the Gondola and Essie Eternal Optimist. And Knowledge is Flower is pretty darn similar to Fun in the Gondola. I feel like For What Is Earth is just a tad bit darker than Eternal Optimist. And then I compared Pin Me Pink, which is obviously much more pink, and then Olive&June LD, which is pretty similar to For What It's Earth, but it's got a little bit more rosy red tones in it. Okay, and then we have another pinky OPI. This is I'm an Extra that you can see is obviously more pink than the other polishes. And then Clothing Optional is a tad bit more brown. And next up we have Simply Radishing, another absolutely gorgeous polish. So I compared this to Angora Cardi, which is a little bit darker. And then Essie Off the Record from their new fall collection is also darker, as well as Been There, London That from the Keep Me Posted collection, which is a lot more red. Then I compared this to Mrs. Always Right by Essie, as well as Stop, Drop, and Shop. And you can see no dupes here. Compared to these reds, I felt like Simply Radishing was pulling a lot more purple. So I pulled out Making Harmony. And you can see it's obviously a lot more purple. And then I pulled out Modern Auburn from the new China Glaze Fall collection. And you can see it is much more auburn. Okay, moving along to a Great Fig World. This is such a beautiful blurple color. I compared this one to OPI Mariachi Makes My Day, as well as Essie Kimono Over and Essie Shades On. You can see Mariachi Makes My Day is pretty close, but it's a tad bit darker, not quite as bright. And then here we have Essie Wink of Sleep, which is quite a bit lighter. Essie No Film and Essie Expressi No Time to Pause. No Time to Pause is pretty close, but the formula is not quite as good as A Great Fig World. A Great Fig World has such a beautiful formula. And then here we have Essie Gel Couture Bow Tie, Essie Berlin the Club, and Essie Sweet Retreat. Essie Gel Couture Bow Tie is pretty close, but it's a tad bit darker. Next up, we have Bloom with a View, a red that's so hard to capture on camera. So here we have Watermelon, which is more pink. Not Ready for Bed was a little bit more warm tone. And then Adrenaline Brush. And then next up, we have Essie Forever Yummy, Essie Altitude Attitude, and Essie Maki Me Happy. And you can see no dupes here. I'm sure you guys have a dupe for Bloom with a View because it's a red. And I feel like reds are so dupeable. Another gorgeous color. I didn't realize how much purple this has in it, I guess. So I just thought it was a full-on maroon color or burgundy color, but it does have quite a bit of purple in it. You can see compared to some of these polishes. So here we have it compared to Essie Bahama Mama, Essie Swing of Things, and Essie Designated DJ. And then next up, I pulled out Wicked, Carry On, and Olive&June Obsessed. And you can see definitely no dupes here. So then I pulled out Orly's Wild Abandon, and it's somewhat close, but not quite as purple. And then I pulled out a true darker purple, Smoking Hot, and you can see those don't compare at all. And then Essie Expressi Scoot Scoot is more burgundy. Here we have a few more purples, so I pulled out Winning Streak and Generation Zen, which actually doesn't look purple at all here. And then also OPI Complimentary Wine, and you can see that is quite a bit darker. And here we have Essie Gel Couture Museum Muse from their new Museum Muse collection. That and Berlin the Club are a different tone of purple. And then Opulent Obsession by Orly is more of a deep burgundy. And then here we have Zoya Avi, and it's quite a bit more purple than Ecomaniac. And then Berry Naughty is quite a bit more of a burgundy berry color. Then I compared Ecomaniac to A Great Fig World. I get into such a rabbit hole with these comparisons. I'm like, what about this? What about this? So Ecomaniac, A Great Fig World. And then I wanted to compare Waterfall in Love to A Great Fig World. So here you have those polishes compared to each other. Okay, next up we have Force of Nature. I got a ton of requests to compare Less is Norse to this one. And you guys were right. This is a dupe, an absolute dupe. There may be subtle differences, but I totally think it's a dupe. Moving along to the other polishes, we have Essie Toned Down, which is more blue, and then OPI Heart DTLA, which is more blue as well. And then here we have Essie Infinity Cool, Essie Anchor Down, and Morgan Taylor Midnight Sleigh Ride. Anchor Down is similar, but it's a different shade of blue, gray, blue-gray. Okay, and then here we have some Essie Expressies. I found another dupe. Leveled Up from the new Essie Ahead of the Gamers collection is pretty close to Force of Nature. And it's also a one-coater, so. And then here we have it compared to Essie Expressie Air Dry and Essie Expressie Lose the Snooze. And then here you can see Essie Booties on Broadway, Olive and June OMG, and Olive and June CNH. And there are no dupes here. And then I've got some new fall collection polishes coming to compare to this polish. This is All Heal Queen Mother Earth. So I compared OPI Drama at La Scala, OPI My Studios on Spring, and OPI Amazon Amazoff. And you can see no dupes here. And then moving right along, we have the absolutely gorgeous Orly polish. This is my fave from the collection. This is in full plume from their fall collection. It doesn't compare whatsoever to All Heal Queen Mother Earth, but I wanted to see how they compared, so now you can see too. And then here we have Orly Let the Good Times Roll and Orly Midnight Oasis. Neither of those are dupes. And then here I pulled out Essie in Plain View and Essie Satin Sister. And you can see Essie in Plain View and Satin Sister are a tad more green. And then OPI Duomo Days Isola Nights is a little bit more blue. And then I had to pull out the other two tealy colors by Essie. So I pulled out Go Overboard and On Your Mistletoes. And I feel like Go Overboard is the closest, but it's a tad bit darker. Okay, this gorgeous bright blue sure is something. This gorgeous bright blue sure is something. The name is Sure is Something. So I got a ton of requests to compare this to Mi Casa es Blue Casa. So I've got that here. And then another new polish from the Orly Fall collection. This is Blue Tango. It's a little bit darker than Sure is Something. And then Waterfall in Love is a little bit more of a blurple color. Next up, we have Essie Aruba Blue, Essie Butler Please, and Essie Feelin' Amped from their new fall collection. And you can see there are no dupes here. I was super curious to see how Sure is Something would be compared to Butler Please because they're both so bright, but you can see the differences in the tones here. I do feel like Essie Expressie Beat the Clock here is a dupe for Sure is Something, but I do also feel like Sure is Something has a much better formula. So if you're going between those two, definitely get the OPI color. And then here you can see it compared to Mesmerize and All the Wave. All right, guys, we're getting closer to the end, I promise. Okay, so back to some reds. This is Give a Garnet. So I compared this to some new polishes by Morgan Taylor from the Morgan Taylor Fall Collection. This is Afternoon Escape and Uncharted Territory. And you can see those polishes are a tad bit different. And then I also compared Tug at the Harpstrings, and you can see that's just a little bit more warm tone. Next up, we have Stop, Drop, and Shop, Essie with the Band, and Essie Spice It Up. And you can see the subtle differences in these polishes. Spice It Up is quite a bit warmer, but the other two are kind of in the same color family. And then Raising the Bar, another freaking stunner. I compared this one to Essie Ring in the Bling, Essie and a Ginger Snap, and Essie Wrapped in Rubies, and you can see the color differences there. Wrapped in Rubies looks a little bit more similar than it actually is. Wrapped in Rubies is quite a bit darker. And then here you can see Essie Without Reservations, which is more pink, Essie Fairest of Them All, and Essie Gossip and Spill, and no dupes here. And then I couldn't find my I'm Really an Actress polish. I feel like I ended up giving that to a friend, but I do still have I'm Not Really a Waitress, so you can see how those compare here. Another polish I couldn't find was Tile Art to Warm Your Heart. Okay, last but certainly not least, I can't even believe we made it here. This is Intentions Are Rose Gold compared to Metallic Composition by OPI from their fall collection. And then Essie Gorgeous Geodes and Essie Penny Talk. You can see Metallic Composition and Intentions Are Rose Gold are pretty darn similar. I don't think you would need both of them. So, all right, guys, that's it. I will see you soon. Join my live at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today, Saturday, if you want to. Otherwise, I'll catch you on YouTube later. Love you all. Bye.